Over the Garden Wall is a masterpiece, suited for both young and old, and it's also one of my favorite animated shows of all time. It's a 19th and 20th century style Americana cartoon that follows two brothers, lost in the unknown. Throughout their journey to return home, they meet new friends and foes, visit new towns and taverns, and learn lessons that all of us lost souls would be wise to readily retain. If you have not already privileged yourself with a viewing of this short movie-length series, I encourage you to do so before watching the rest of this video, as I will most definitely spoil some things contained within it. With that being said, and without further ado, I present to you a short masterclass brought to you by Wirt, Beatrice, and Greg that teaches us the lessons from Over the Garden Wall. Wirt, a high school incel, if you can call him that, is a gentle soul who loves poetry, clarinet, and architecture. His defining characteristic is his fear of the future, his fear of the unknown. Ironically, and almost poetically, it's by traveling through the unknown, the place he doesn't even know how he got into, that he conquers his fear of it. In this story, Wirt's humble beginnings are that of a high school student desperately trying to share his passion for life with someone who he ostensibly thinks is out of his reach. He's scared of what others might think of him. The passions he has aren't for other people, but he's so reliant on the approval of others, he traps himself within walls of his own expectations that have him waiting for situations to appear ideal before he springs into action. He's waiting for the perfect time that will never come. We realize while viewing this masterpiece that Wirt has nothing to worry about, that the people he's intimidated by aren't intimidating at all, and the people he thinks will judge him really won't. This is a bad justification for confidence because people can be intimidating and people do judge. But I realize things are supposed to work out in kids' shows, not to give children a false sense of confidence, but to prime them to understand that being confident is a prerequisite for positive outcomes. Wirt learns this by traveling through the unknown. His brother, Greg, exudes confidence in all types of situations, from confronting the wolf to organizing charity concerts to tracking down a ghost, defeating the Old North Wind, and finally facing the beast. Greg is a continual example to his older brother of what self-confidence unhindered by doubt, worry, and fear really looks like. Over the course of Greg and Wirt's journey through the unknown, Wirt becomes more like his younger brother, and ultimately, when faced with Greg's death, saves him from the beast of the unknown. Something changes inside of Wirt. He realizes what's important and in an instant is able to shake off the shackles of all the trivial cares and worries he's been carrying this whole time. He effectively defeats the beast of the unknown and at the same time conquers his own fears of the future, unlocking his self-confidence and the realization that there is nothing to worry about. The future is best approached head-on, with a focus on what needs to be done and the confidence to achieve it. At the end of the story, Wirt pulls himself, his brother, and their frog out of the lake they fell into, realizing that their entire journey through the unknown may have just been a dream. Or was it? A different topic for a different time. In the end, Wirt ends up saving his brother and overcoming his fear of the unknown. From the first moment we encounter Beatrice, we can tell she's working an angle. She's caught in a bush that just so happens to be along the path Wirt and Greg are traveling on. And she ties herself to their party under the pretense of owing them a favor. She spends the next few episodes working on the boys to try to get them to visit Adelaide of the pasture, who can supposedly help them get home. You can tell, especially when she initially joins the party, she's begrudgingly traveling with the brothers, as Wirt is seriously stubborn and Greg is a total troll. She feels compelled to leave the boys at the first signs of danger, but resists the urge to do so, as they are her ticket to freeing herself and her family from the curse of being bluebirds. Her mentality is that the end justifies the means. She is willing to respond to a wrong with another wrong. Her and her family were cursed and forced to live as bluebirds, so she is willing to bring Wirt and his brother to Adelaide in exchange for the curse being lifted. But her thinking over the course of the story changes because she develops a relationship with both Wirt and Greg. She realizes that the utilitarian idea of the end justifying the means is a lie. There are moral and natural truths written on her heart, just like on the hearts of all of us. By the time she brings the brothers to Adelaide of the pasture, she realizes that the lie she's been telling this whole time is wrong. She comes clean to Wirt and Greg and kills Adelaide of the pasture. Beatrice learns, just through experiencing relationships with others, that humans are unique and deserve to not be deceived. We all deserve the truth. Greg gives us an incredible example of a childlike approach to life. Over the course of Over the Garden Wall, many things and people change, but there is one thing that stays constant. That one thing is Greg and his attitude towards life. I know there are many traits we'd like to borrow or maybe incorporate permanently into our persons that we observe in Greg. He's creative, fearless, outgoing, joyful, selfless, and the list goes on. All of these traits display themselves in Greg's candy trail, candy camouflage, potatoes and molasses, rock facts, inviting himself into parties to advocate for his brother, organizing charity events for newly made friends, cosplaying as a drum to keep concerts going, roasting leaves, eating leaves, perpetually coming up with new names for his frog, dressing up as an elephant for Halloween, defeating the Old North Wind, and finally, facing the beast. Greg puts on a masterclass in being young, and that's just it. What we should take away from this masterclass isn't that we need to focus on a specific trait Greg has, but more that our entire mindset should shift from one of an adult to that of a child. As we've grown up, we've become skeptical of the world, of other people. We've let the world change us instead of giving ourselves the freedom to change the world. Realistically, this is because at some point in our lives, we've become discouraged to the point of no return. Greg, our role model, never gives up. He believes anything is possible. He's a kid. He's unshackled by the constraints we place around ourselves as we grow into adulthood. The lesson to learn that even echoes across all eternity is that we must become like children. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be responsible or smart, but it does mean that we should never grow up. Because when we grow up, if we grow up, we lose something. That curiosity, that joy, that selflessness that comes with being a young soul. So, become like a child. Never grow up and be like Greg.